All right. I'm pretty sure there's at least one lady in this group.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you're right too. And it's going to be like this. I can tell all night long, everybody. As you can see, this is the World of Greyhawk, the first Betrayal campaign.
So,
I am
so is
Carlos A.S. Lysing, your dungeon master. If you didn't get enough of me this morning, well, here I am, guys. I'm back for more cash. I'm back for more games. So I'm going to go around the horn here and introduce everyone, despite the fact that these guys have given me about 50 reasons not to already before the
Hey,
game's already
watch it.
started. In our top left-hand corner this morning, we have the mighty, hold on for just a second, I'm already on the wrong screen. This is going great already. I have the mighty David Aho, who's quaffing
Hello.
a beverage as we speak. David Aho, for those of you who don't watch us, is playing Arion. Arion, the Ranger Cleric of Ilona. Arion, how you doing, brother?
Not too bad.
Awesome. Okay, going downward. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm going to move over to our bottom right-hand corner, and that is the ladies' man, champion, charisma, and comeliness character, Brixton Beholder's Bane, Matthew Lazinski. How you doing, Brixton?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Hey, listen, for all of us who are here who watch the show that are in the United States, how's everything going up in Canada for with the coronavirus situation? Everybody okay?
Oh, I have no idea what's going on.
You're locked in, pretty much.
Oh no, I'm doing my thing. The
Right.
rest of
Well,
the
for
world's
everybody
locked in.
here who's watching in the audience, Matthew had the right answer. Stay inside, do your own thing. Don't go outside and find out what. You should be inside watching the first Betrayal, not outside there catching coronavirus. All right, now we're going to start with the other two members of our group, starting in the bottom left-hand corner. And I saved them for last because they've been away for a long time, but they're back. Patrick Hope, Agrias, how you doing, my brother? It feels like I haven't seen you in a million years. How you living, bud?
It's been a while. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Good to be back.
That's good. For all of you who don't know out there, Patrick Hope is a recent college graduate. Patrick, congratulations for graduating.
Thank
For all
you.
of you who would like to send Patrick graduation gifts, you may do so through my personal email account at castlentertainment.com, and I will be sure to relay him all your gifts. As beautiful and as handsome as Matthew is, Patrick is even more so. So I know all you ladies out there will be happy to give him gifts to woo him. He's single too, by the way, and ready to mingle. Up in the top corner, speaking of handsome and beautiful, we have our resident bard, Jeremy Brazil. Jeremy Brazil, how you doing, brother?
I'm living the dream, bro.
Man, you look great, dude. How you feeling?
This COVID-19, I'm just got a little bit of a fever and a little bit of a cough. And
Yeah.
no,
Hopefully that doesn't mean you're gonna die on me.
No, not only do I not have any symptoms, I don't even know anybody who has any symptoms, and I don't know anybody that knows anybody that has any symptoms. Anyway, I'm glad to have high-speed internet and be back in the first Betrayal. Let's rock.
Oh man, I couldn't be happier to have you back. You know, Jeremy, where are my dogs at?
Right here.
Yeah, I just heard dogs in the background. That's all. So I just had to make a quick joke about that.
No, he was just.
Wow.
Okay, so Jeremy, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad to see you. Oh, look at this. Oh, again, David, is that what you're going to lead off with? Really? Today is a really, really good night, and it's an awesome night for First Betrayal because everybody's back, as I said. I'm sure everybody's itching to get to the game, but before we do that, I want to take care of just a short bit of Castle Entertainment business. COVID-19 has been a terrible thing for the world, obviously, but it's been a great thing for Castle Entertainment in a sense because I was really, really struggling when everything started to catch up. I had so many projects going. This actually kind of hit the pause button on the world. So I've gotten the chance to catch up, and you guys are going to see a lot of really cool stuff coming in the months ahead. I'm super excited. I'm bummed out that that you guys didn't get a chance to hear the or see, excuse me, the charity event that I was planning for Cheetah Conservation Fund. But fortunately, all that means is I'm pushing it back a little bit. So you guys are going to get a chance to engage in that if anybody wants to play out there. I've got a couple of my players that played with me today. Some of the artists from Changeling And I know one of them that really wants to play in the game, and I'm gonna try and see if I can sneak a couple because all three of those ladies were fabulous. If you're watching right now, thanks so much for playing with me earlier today. You guys put on just a great show for everybody, and I really had a marvelous time. Um, this month that's coming up for the rest of the month, as you guys know, well, not for the month that's coming up, but for right now in April, my Patreon is free. Anybody who wants to join, you guys aren't being charged for it. So if you're interested to see what we do, what's going on, just go ahead and join for a little while. You can join at any tier; it's all free. So if you want to see, if you want the module, join the module level. Then you're gonna get that stuff. So, I'm making sure that everybody. I'm very sensitive to the fact right now that that money's tight and that people are bored. They need stuff to do, and it's just my way of giving back to the world community and trying to make sure that I do my part. We're all in this together as world citizens. So make sure you stay happy, safe. Join in if you feel like it. If you don't, that's fine too. Just watch us on YouTube and however you want to participate in casl stuff. I totally endorse that. So in any case, I think that's all I really wanted to say right now. Oh, yes, I do want the one last thing I want to say. For those of you that are already in the Patreon, thank you very much. Next month, which is May, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a teaser. I have Halfling Month planned. Now, I know that rings especially interesting for Jeremy and Matthew, who like the small folk. So I've got all kinds of Halfling-themed stuff, and I think for me, I don't like to play favorites when it comes to race class because I think that as a DM, people wonder about your partiality to begin with. But I would have to say that my favorite of the demi-human classes or races is halflings, and I think I'm not really a Tolkien scholar or anything like that. Jeremy and I were just talking about that the other day, in that I don't really my fantasy experience is informed by Gygax, not really Tolkien. However, there's just something really compelling to me about the small folk as far as halflings go. So that's really cool. Brixton and Rainmar, you guys will be excited to know that the streak goes on. Ever since I ran Marquesa, or no, before Marquesa, excuse me. No, it was actually Marquesa. I take that back. Over at Gary Con, what was it, guys? On 8? Gary Con 8. That was the first game I ever had a gnome in my party.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, I have not had a game that did not have a gnome. Gnomes are taking off, and I think, actually, to be honest with you, I think Rainmar and Brixton are two of the reasons why it's taking off. They see you guys play the game, they see how cool your characters are, they recognize the utility in these characters, and I think that you guys can take a little bit of credit for that. So, very cool stuff going on. Very cool stuff going on.
I'm going to go ahead and just take all the credit because I'm comfortable with that. So
okay, that's fine too.
Yeah,
you just got to edge out, Matthew. Sorry.
Yeah, this
it
fine.
happens.
You can have it.
Okay, well, sorry about your luck, Matthew. It's all Rainmar's fault then.
It's really not luck. It has nothing to do with luck.
For those of you who are interested and watch our interview segment, I'll give you a hint as to what you can expect to see for our special guest in May. There's your special hint. This is the module White Plume Mountain, and I will actually just come out right and say it, rather than just be vague about it. Our special guest for later on this month, I'm super excited to tell you that it's going to be Lawrence Scheck, who created White Plume Mountain, among other great TSR products.
Very cool.
Yeah, Lawrence lives over in Ireland, and Lawrence has a really cool background in that after he wrote White Plume and worked with TSR for a long time, doing a bunch of really cool stuff for them, he transitioned into the world of computers. He was an executive for AOL while AOL was really a big deal, and then he moved over to video games. He's one of the few people that has worked with most of the major video game companies and had massive hits, things like Sid Meier's Civilization he was involved in. He's currently doing cool stuff in video games, but he's also still a huge RPG enthusiast. For those of you who know Lawrence's history, I'm super excited to tell you guys that I'm going to have him.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I know I keep pushing the game off, but I do want to say one more thing. It became it became aware. I became aware yesterday, or actually maybe 2 days ago. Leonard Lakofka is not necessarily in good health right now. Leonard, as you might know, is the author of the Sul Imperium. He did created most of those gods through Dragon Magazine articles,
Mm-hmm.
and it would end up later in the World of Greyhawk folio, and excuse me, in the World of Greyhawk box set. He's a very important figure of the game. He wrote such seminal modules as L1, which is Secret of Bonehill, and L2, Assassin's Knot.
Mm.
Leonard is important to me personally because for those of you who aren't yet savvy enough to read between the lines, the format that I used for the gnome game, Who Sits Upon the Oaken Throne, which is partially a mystery, and that was used. I used uh, L2 as inspiration for the way that went down, and I even
Mm.
credited him in the back of it for the Cloak of Etherealness, which I used kind of a takeoff of that. Um, those of you who know him well, Leonard is a little bit of a controversial figure. Sometimes he's not that easy to get along with, but if you could spare a couple thoughts for the man as he's going through chemotherapy right now, I'm sure he would appreciate that. He'll be
Yeah,
on.
right on.
He'll be appearing on Jay Scott's chat here coming up later this week, I should say. So for those of you guys who like to follow Lord Gasamba on Twitch, if you want to check out Len and listen to him drop some wisdom on you guys, drop some knowledge, he's got a lot of cool stuff to say. In addition to those modules he wrote, he's the one who created weapon specialization. I know, for
Oh,
example,
jeez.
Patrick is using a character right now that takes great advantage of weapon specialization in Agrias. Well, that wouldn't be possible without Len's work when he created the Archer, because the Archer class back in Dragon Magazine, that's what weapon specialization was based on. So a lot of cool stuff he's responsible for in the history of the game. Um, so, like I said, Len, thanks for everything you've done for the game. I know you're probably not watching us out here right now, but I do want to say that. So on happier things, we have a game
Yeah.
to play, boys and girls.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I'm super excited to hear that. So let's start with our since we played with you, Matthew, and David most recently. I want to start with Agrias and Rainmar. Okay, Agrias and Rainmar. When I last left my intrepid heroes, you were at the tower of your mysterious trainer, Agrias. Agrias and Rainmar had traveled north where they had heard of a tower to the north where he might be able to get some training, Agrias, because Agrias and Rainmar had reached second level and they needed to train their characters so they could take advantage of the new level. Well, to their surprise, they found out that the person that was there is a renegade member of Agrias' order. It is a character who is of questionable ethos, questionable morality. No one is really sure what to make of this character or whether or not she's even telling the truth about why she was thrown out of the order, why she left. Um, so far, Patrick and Agrias have chosen to believe her, and it's probably been a good thing for both of them, if for no other reason than the fact that she teaches the art of the tenebrous hand, which Agrias uses in a very unusual way, in an orthodox way, and he has the ability to take advantage of a lot of her knowledge that really opens up a whole new realm of experience to him. Agrias's character is very interesting in that he's a first edition character that is a occidental character. Or he's a Westerner, but yet he also uses the martial arts rules from Oriental Adventures as an ability to kind of flesh out his fighter abilities. Now Rainmar was also there with him, and Rainmar, as a student of history, Rainmar is studying to become a bard eventually in the future. Uh, this is a treasure trove of history to him and the past of the world of Greyhawk from an angle that he has not seen before. So this has been very cool for both of them. Agrias has also currently, along with him and Rainmar, they brought the Druidess was there with them of Wenta, Ilin, and also there was his, and yes, I said his apprentice, Lily. the gnome, who he basically stole from Brixton at this point.
You can have her.
Agrias and Rainmar,
Yeah.
you have been at the tower for at least 2 weeks at this point. But
Yeah.
what's weird is inside the tower, it seems almost that time does some very unusual stuff. You are become of the impression, both Agrias and Rainmar, that your trainer, who you really only refer to at this point as the prismatic chrysanthemum, because she really hasn't told you her name. She has, you think that she may have some control over time, actually, because she has shown, you have watched her in practice outside of the tower from time to time when you don't think she's watching. It will be raining outside, and she has the ability to move with such quickness she can step between drops of water if she wishes. She's that fast. She's has the ability to. It seems like she can be in multiple places at once. Um, it's very, very odd. There's also parts of you, Rainmar, in you in particular, where you're starting to wonder if she's actually alive or if she's a ghost. Because you know for a fact that you have seen her in one room and then she'll be in another, and that she would have had to walk through the wall to get there. Um, she says stuff about times and places that you know from your studies were thousands of years ago or may have been may not never have existed, depending on what you believe through history. So she's a very interesting character. There's a lot of contradiction about her. So you've been there for the last 2 weeks. How long would you like to stay there, Agrias? Your 2 week study is all you need to crest to the next level, both of you. So congratulations, your characters are both second level. Agrias, how long would you like to stay in total? Longer than the 2 weeks?
Longer than the 2 weeks for sure.
Okay. How long? 5? 5 weeks?
Oh no, I was asking a question,
Oh
but
yeah,
let
go
him.
ahead, Raymar. How long?
My question is more in regards to how much of this am I able to really document effectively, just in terms of keeping a journal?
So far, just about everything. Because
Okay.
you are really dedicating yourself to making sure that this is all captured historically,
Mhm.
you are doing a lot of it. And at one point, the prismatic chrysanthemum was watching you document it. You're writing, and she kind of she appeared over your shoulder, basically, asked you what you were writing, and you were caught, so you might as well admit it. She didn't seem to be bothered by it at all. She seemed bemused, if anything. So she doesn't seem to have any kind of problem with you documenting it.
Is there, because we kind of did a little bit of a fast forward here, is there a particular subject that I could use a little more time, because I could take more time to journal while Patrick's training, for
Yes,
example?
absolutely. You
Okay.
tell me what you want to focus on.
Anything that I can get in terms of kind of just the lore
Okay.
of the school. I know that we had decided Rainmar probably wasn't capable of learning the Tenebrous Hand. It was a little bit beyond him.
Yes.
But the lore, I think I'm certainly capable of documenting that. So I'd like to do that if I can.
The cool thing is that we're only first level, so the generalist training that she can give you is enough to get you to second level. But from time to time, she is willing to conduct interviews with you and tell you different things about the history of the art, about different members of the flowers.
Okay.
From Patrick's order. For those of you who didn't watch last week, Patrick found out that every member of his order that is a master is named after a flower, like a color and a flower. For example, he was primarily taught before by the violet orchid or the black orchid. Now he's being trained by the prismatic chrysanthemum, who she calls herself the prismatic. She used to be a different color, but she never really said what it was. But now she is of all colors, so she calls herself the prismatic chrysanthemum.
Okay.
Rainmar, so you've learned quite a bit about the history of the art, why it was created. According to her, the Tenebrous Hand was created by the first elves ever to walk the earth. It was created primarily as a way of when the Drow had the big war, when the elves had the big schism at the beginning of their history that created the Drow and the Light Elves. the order Chrysanthemum, the Light Elves decided that they needed a way to deal with the Drow on their own terms. And so the Tenebrous Hand was created to master the darkness that they knew the Drow would use against them. She is of the belief that it never really was supported by a lot of the more soft-hearted elves that wanted unification eventually with the Drow, which is why it became kind of relegated to only a single monastery. It was kind of she believes that it was a they did that on purpose so that they hoped that eventually the order would just kind of fade into obscurity.
Okay.
So that's why the order was created, according to her, historically. Now, Patrick, as far as you go, you too have learned some interesting things about the history of the order, but it's more of a personal thing. You got to find out that your master in particular, who was the Violet Orchid, is actually the youngest member of the order that is a master. He's the most recent master. He gained his mastery by killing one of the other masters, who was quote unquote a renegade. Now, your master in particular, because of that, has now gained a position where he acts as the Punisher / Justicar / assassin in the order. He is not to be trifled with. He's extremely powerful, but you get the impression from the prismatic chrysanthemum that he may very well have been the one that put the bounty out on you.
Okay.
He might have been the one to let it loose. Hey, we have a renegade out here. Anybody that can bring his head to Marner will be rewarded. Maybe as a way of taking care of his light work. Maybe as a way of distancing himself from the act. Because he's politically savvy like that. He may have just felt it was unbecoming to kill his own student.
Okay.
So that's what she thinks, but obviously she says that she's not she doesn't live in his skull, so it's impossible for her to say. Rainmar.
Yeah, she's also a little bit suspect, I think.
Yes, she is definitely an unreliable narrator.
Can I make a perception check over the last 2 weeks of whether I think she's?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and make me a 20, please.
That's a 20.
Yeah.
Can I do the same thing?
Yes, you may. Both of you.
That's a 13.
And you, Agrias?
14.
Okay. Rainmar, she's definitely telling the truth in your mind about the order. What you get out of her is this. You get the idea that she has lived far longer than even a gray elf should. You have heard something in the past discussed. There's a piece of history called that deals with Sehanine Moonbow, the goddess of death, magic, and dreams of the elves.
Yep.
When a gray elf has lived too long, Sehanine will show them the Moonbow. It will appear to them, and it has different effects on them sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll strike them blind. Sometimes it will, do different things to them. It'll age them super fast. It's a way of her saying, it's time to come home now. You are of the impression that she may very well have seen the Moonbow because of that may be where her weird abilities come from, but she's resisting it. She does not want to leave life yet.
Have I informed Agrias of this?
Would you?
For sure.
Yes, then Agrias.
And I would wait till an appropriate time where I had it.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, Agrias, then you know about this. You are of the impression that she has resisted the Moonbow, and that because maybe that's why she lives out of sync with time, and that would explain her suspect narrative a bit, because she is maybe a little confused herself. She lives in multiple times at the same time, and it's hard for her to sort things sometimes. She clearly seems to be able to tell the future. So, there's that. Any other questions about her? Oh, Agrias. Yes, you rolled as well. She is definitely, in your mind, telling the truth about the order. She is very, when it comes to the order, and when she talks about it, she is very blunt. She's very matter of fact. She tells you that she expects you to be her apprentice for some time to come. And as such, she sees no percentage in lying to you about it.
So can we say that I've already sworn to be her disciple over the
No, not
last 2
yet.
weeks?
You have not sworn that yet. And I would say that because I want you to tell me if that's what you want to do.
Definitely.
It is what you want to do. Well, in that case, she tells you that, and we're going to do this in character at this point. Agrias, one day you're practicing in the courtyard of the bottom part of the tower, and she comes to you. The prismatic chrysanthemum comes to you, and she tells you, "I need you. I need to be sure of something.
Okay.
Were you serious the other day, or were you in jest when you said that you wished to become my apprentice?
I was being serious.
This is not a question that is not without consequence. When you ally yourself with me, you will take on my flower. As a result, you will share my fate. Is this something you wish to do?
I do. It is. Yes.
Put down your sword."
Okay.
She turns around and walks away and starts, "Follow me." She comes upstairs.
I'm following.
Upstairs, there are all sorts of types. She takes you to this interdicted room that you've never been to. It's got a small bellows and a forge there. On the wall against it is all kinds of different metals, stamps, tools. She looks at you and she says, "If you wish to discard your past and start on a new path, then we must reforge you a blade. This will reflect your new tutelage. This will reflect your new destiny." She nods. She looks against the wall, kind of runs her hand against the wall. Silver, steel, iron, adamantine, mithril. She looks back at you. She says, "The choice is yours, Agrias." She
Ooh.
says, "I wish you to choose your blade, what we will make it from. Each one has its own consequence. Each one of them reflects a different part of your spirit. Do you wish to be durable and hard as the mountains?" She touches the adamantine. "Do you wish to be aligned with the ideals of our ancient ancestors?" She touches the mithril. She touches the iron. "Or will you be more of this world and the present?" Touches the steel. "Or will you be an amalgam of that and the future? The choice is yours."
But she doesn't mention the silver.
Doesn't mention the silver. She looks at you and says, when you kind of look at the silver, she smiles and says, "Silver is a poor choice." She says, "It's malleable. If you were to choose any of the other objects," she says, "we would coat the weapon in silver, and so that it might be more useful against certain enemies."
If I am to be your disciple, which type would you prefer I use?
She touches the mithril, and she says, "This reflects your spirit." She says, "I think that you reflect the old ways and the new ways simultaneously, in that you are much like myself. You have lived before, beyond, and currently. This is your choice." Over the next week and a half, together, the two of you forge a blade. Agrias, will you describe it? Go ahead, Raymar.
Can I document the forging?
Yes, you may. She'll allow you to be in the room and document the forging.
Fire.
Agrias, why don't you describe to me the blade that is made of the consequence of your union?
Huh. Okay.
You may describe it in any fashion you wish.
I'm gonna go with in terms of the blade, the shape of a Chinese broadsword, a
Okay.
dao.
Okay.
Um,
And what would the grip be? Same.
same, yeah.
Okay. When you are done with it, she teaches you how to weave in wire the handle of it, the grip.
Okay.
And what she does is she takes metal from all colors and weaves it in such a way with you and teaches you to weave it so that it all becomes gray in the end. Because they're also
okay.
finely done, all the colors blend into gray. She stamps the bottom of it with the prismatic chrysanthemum, and it's done in such a way that when metal is superheated and it burnishes, how it has that rainbow look to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does there. The whole part of that does that.
Fire.
And she tells you, when this is done, and when we have unlocked the true power in this blade, she looks over at you and smiles. She says, this will be one of the most potent blades ever forged. Because she holds it up and looks at it in the reflection of the moon and turns and hands it to you. She says, you and I together will forge you a great destiny, just as we have forged a great blade.
I nod and bow.
You then go through a rite of the tenebrous hand with the blade, so that you go through every single one of the forms that you know.
Okay.
When it is done, the blade seems to glow and twinkle strangely in the moonlight, almost as if it's part of the night itself. And she tells you that the blade is enchanted. She says it will give you it will lend its strength to you, just as you lend your wisdom and skill to it.
I nod and bow again.
Grias, you and Raymar go through that study. It takes, like I said, you guys end up there for about a month at the thing. Go ahead, Raymar.
One more question.
Of course.
So Patrick just forged a new sword for his training with her.
Yes.
Can I have his old sword?
Ask him.
Can I have your old sword? Are you going to use it?
Okay, Carlos, this is out of character right now. Jeremy has 3 swords on his back.
I know he does.
I know
he does. And he's like a sword collector.
I'm watching you.
You know, Grias. The prismatic chrysanthemum seems a bit bemused by his question and tells him, "Would you share the fate of the Black Orchid? Because if you were to brandish that blade, questions would certainly be asked by a member of that order."
Well, I have a particular way of answering those kinds of questions.
She smiles. She says, "You have learned much in my tutelage."
Yeah. Okay. Here, at the very least, what I want to do is take rubbings for my journal of each of the blades and the designs and stuff. All right. I was just
in the handle at the bottom of it, frozen in a perfectly clear amber, not yellowish. It's perfectly clear. It's a resin, a tree resin, is a chrysanthemum, a live chrysanthemum. So it's at the bottom of the sword. Agrias and Rainmar, at the end of the month, you and Sunny and Elin end up leaving her tower, and you begin back towards the shore and your base. You're full of knowledge. You're full of strength. You feel... Oh, I almost forgot. Sister Armina was with you as well. I almost forgot. You're all feel full of strength and knowledge. You feel much more capable than when you came.
Am I able to also do the training with Sister Armina during this downtime?
Yes, you are. And actually, learning from her teaches you a whole different aspect of fighting. Her skill is all based on dexterity and movement and balance. Balance in all things she teaches. So your footwork has improved dramatically under her tutelage. She's all about making sure you have a strong base.
Am I able to document the Zanye and all of that?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Agrias, you have a question.
Yeah, so I never got to answer you about how long we were there. Can we be there for 9 weeks?
Exactly 9 weeks. Yes, you may.
And then
I smile upon that choice.
thank you. Is it possible to ask her to come with us, or is that a no-go?
I cannot leave.
Okay.
And
Oh.
she is that blunt about it too. Doesn't even explain why I cannot leave.
Okay. When I return, am I allowed to return to you?
I would expect it.
Fair enough.
I'm
Okay.
only going to come back if you teach me something cool, you know?
Agrias, you for those of you out there who are watching, I created an entirely new martial art, or at least an appendage of the martial art for the prismatic chrysanthemum.
I have it open right now.
You may choose a special ability from it. What do you choose?
You mean one of the stances?
You might want to take some time to think about that,
I'll let
bro.
you think about it while I go on to Brixton and Arion.
Deal. Thank you, sir.
Brixton and Arion, when I last left my Intrepid Heroes, you guys were in a weird situation, man. You managed to deal with your all-night death bout getting out of the woods, and you were on the shores of the Solner, right where the river empties out into the ocean. Brixton had found his familiar. His familiar had changed. You guys are standing next to each other. Either that or Agrias has really did learn much from the prismatic chrysanthemum about how to step through time and dimension.
I can neither confirm nor deny, sir.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I should have known. I'm looking at the same background for both of you. I don't know why it eluded me. I'm such an idiot. But anyway, Brixton, his familiar had changed greatly. Hey, Jason and Gafang. Gafang, I'm looking right at you. Hey, Jason, it's good to see you, man. You too, Greyhawk Mike. You had decided to split the party, despite the fact that you often hear that that's not a good idea. Arion and Brixton, you had sent, let's try that, Melina out to the base, who is a member of Agrias' order, along with Sunny.
Yeah.
Sunny was protesting; she wanted to stay, or she wanted to go by herself. Actually, at first, but Brixton would hear nothing of it. And was probably a good idea. She's probably going to get herself killed doing something like that. Arion, you have learned much from, you and Tobias have learned much during this fight. You made friends with the Badgers in that hidey hole over there. And perhaps more importantly, you were probably solely responsible for the survival of the group after everything went sideways when you guys all fought the Magi and his assistants, his orcs, when they attacked you. You have learned much about your fighting ability, and probably more importantly than anything, you feel a lot more capable, a lot more skilled after your dealings with the deep gnomes inside of Mirathason. But the two of you are standing on the shore. It's morning. You camped there for the night. You know that there's an entrance to something deep in the ocean on the coast. However, it has occurred to you that the pressure is too great. It's too deep to get to easily. Also, going down there as fast as you can would probably be a bad idea. Holding your breath would be. There's a lot of problems getting down there. There's also something guarding it. It's what changed Matthew's familiar with a spell. That you know as well. As day breaks and the two of you are sitting there, you've eaten breakfast. You miss Sunny's cooking already. It's been iron rations for the both of you. What would you like to do?
Well, it was discussed before to possibly use the bag of holding as like a diving bell type of thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the bad thing about that is obviously the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is once we get down there, I won't, if I'm using it, I think Brixton, I can't remember how he'd have to use the same thing, but we can't see.
That's the big problem, is you wouldn't be able to see. And truthfully, whoever goes down there and uses that trick, they're going to have to open that door. And once they do, there's no coming back.
Well, that you never know if if the door's actually got air behind it or
That's
whatever.
true too.
No, if you open it and there's air, we're going to get sucked in somewhere, which wouldn't be that bad, but to a point.
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't know, there might be something coming out.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns and problems.
A whole lot more detriments to positive things.
So what is your plan, the both of you?
Well, do we want to go investigate the door in the Badger's lair?
That's what I was saying, because it's apparent. I mean, we still have to backtrack for. I can't remember how about half a day or a day?
About half a day. Now that you're healthy, it's about half a day. Before, remember, you guys were dragging ass because most of you were injured.
Yeah.
Now that everybody's healthy and you know where you're going, it'll be a lot swifter.
Right. But you still have to go through, enemy territory to say the least.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Although to counter that, you did not see any sign of the orcs on your way. You did troublingly see a remnant of one of your comrades that might have been or might not have been killed in the fight.
Right.
But
we did. No, I can't. We did get that. His axe.
Pick up the axe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it might have been some kind of a decoy as well.
It could have been.
But we were also speculating. Okay, number one, we had our, my nemesis, the fire boy.
Yep.
We had the possibly the water wizard was the one that did something to Brixton's familiar.
It could have been.
I can't remember what the heck. What's her name from that we did away with down in the Gnome area?
Zirian.
I can't remember which element she was supposed. It was just.
Supposedly she worked for the group. She didn't say whom.
No, but I mean that you said there's like the Earth,
Yes.
that.
Uh-huh.
And the one with that act may figure maybe the axe was left there by the air.
Yes, you think
elemental-ish type of wizard.
That was your conjecture at the time. Yes.
So I got that in the back of my head. So
the plan is, at this point, you guys would like to backtrack back up the river to the Badgers?
even though that is a dangerous session going up there, I think it's probably less prone to danger than trying to do an underwater.
Okay.
But we can,
your thoughts?
That's my opinion.
Yeah, we can also travel pretty fast because Aurora can go up the river now.
Yes, that is true. You could probably make it, if you chose to use Aurora, you could probably make it in a matter of hours.
And I mean, it's
maybe 3 hours, you suspect, Brixton.
And
So
I'd like the added health.
Yeah, the cachet.
Here's the other question. I can't remember. Did Tobias go with Sonny?
No, Tobias is with you still.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I thought there was
Although, if you would like to rephrase that, I will let you. Would you like to have sent Tobias?
Because
you know what? I take that back. You did send Tobias because you gave the treats to her.
You did.
Because we were under the impression we might have to go on under the sea, and that wouldn't be good with him.
Right, and I also remember the dialogue. He said that he was in charge, and he was he's going to have to keep them safe
because those dummies aren't going to be able to make it without him, type of thing.
Yeah, he's like, you're a dummy, but they're even bigger dummies, so I'm going to help them.
Yeah.
So I think that would probably help out. We don't have somebody that could potentially help us out in combat, but
Hmm.
I think travel wise is going to help us out because you don't have to deal with a seasick badger.
And not only that, moving stealthily, the less people you have, the easier it is. So, are you guys going to try and go up the river then using Aurora to get to the Badgers?
That would be my choice, but that's also up to Brixton because number one, what's Aurora going to do once we get there? You know, is it going to be separated again?
Yeah, but the connection will be a lot closer when she's
That's true
by the
too.
river. Yeah.
True. And hey, here's another idea too. You could have her scout down the river. You know, like in the tunnels. There's that. You know, the ceiling that was
Glass ceiling.
Hmm.
there, so she could probably try to find, or you know, you might be able to. Being a gnome, you could probably like triangulate on where she is and where we're at, and maybe try to figure something out.
Yeah, as long as we're in range for communication, I imagine.
Brixton, are you going to go up the river with Aurora?
Yeah, but before I do, I'm going to take Sunny's throwing knife and I'm going to move it a little bit above tide. And I'm going to write on the note saying we're at the Badgers
Okay.
and kind of
What
hide.
language will you write in?
That's a good question. I'll do it in I'll just do it in Gnomish.
Okay. You do it in
Quick
Gnomish.
question before you do that. Now, Gnomish, yes. The other thing is, I don't know how you would go do about it, as this is, you know, player to DM instead of, you know, character. There's also a thing for like your thieving abilities. There's a thing called Thieves' Cant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could you actually do a Thieves' Cant in Gnomish, which would be really confusing to other people?
You could, but unfortunately, Sunny
know.
has not studied enough to know Thieves'
Okay,
Cant.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to, but
Yeah, her Thieves' Cant isn't good enough yet.
Okay.
So you write in Gnomish on the dagger, and you go ahead and you stick it in a place where it would be pretty conspicuous above tide, and then you
Yeah.
leave up the river.
and I just write Badgers. I don't write anything
Okay,
else.
all you write is Badgers.
Oh, here's another question.
Yeah.
Since both Sonny and Brixton can speak with burrowing animals and badgers,
Burrowing
would it
animals
be
do not have a written language.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they only have a scent and a vocalization language. Although if you want to scent mark it, Brixton, you can.
No, I'm okay.
I think that's probably a good idea. So anyway, the experience of being on Aurora is way different than before. Whereas before there was actually something very tangible, you could feel the scales and everything. Now all you feel is warm water. It's weird. She's solid and yet she's not at the same time. Where you touch her, she actually doesn't give way. It almost seems like she can control her density a bit to some degree, so that you guys can both be upon her. The other thing that you find when you are on her is a hippocampus is one of the fastest things that there is in the water. She may be twice as fast now, to the point where you are uncomfortable with how fast she can actually go. She has to slow down for your comfort to some degree. But yet, what she does is really cool. She actually gallops on top of the water through it. Now, rather than through or under the water, she actually strides like she's a water horse riding on top of it. And the two of you gallop down the river that way. As you go through there, you do not encounter any kind of resistance. The way back to the Badgers area is it's a sunny day. It's a little bit chill in the air. You think it will either rain or snow later in the day, maybe a wet snow area. You figure that you've probably got, by the time you get there, maybe 7 hours of daylight left. The two of you arrive at the Badgers with no problem. You get off of Aurora. Brixton, what are you going to order? Where are you going to order her to go?
I'm gonna say to kind of scout along the river if you can, and then I'm gonna tell her that there's a glass cavern up ahead to some caves, but stay close.
You get a feeling through your link as she kind of just she nods, and when she nods, and she makes a hoarse vocalization, but when she does, it almost sounds like the tide's crashing on the shore now. And you get this wistful feeling from her, like she's afraid of what might happen if you're separated for too long again. She doesn't want to be away from you for very long.
Yeah.
She's kind of scared a little bit that bad things will happen again, but she follows your command and leaves. And the two of you end up at the front of the Badgers again. When you're there, you hear the sounds of chewing and eating inside of the Badger den. Who wants to go in first?
Oh, since I can speak to them.
Okay, Brixton, you go in first. As you go in first, the mother Badger is the first one to speak to you. You're back already.
Yes.
I thought you said you might not be back for many moons.
We did say that. Is it
Did your friends die?
No, we're waiting for friends to show up, so we're gonna scout ahead if that's okay. Maybe.
What about the Wolverine?
He's protecting the other two.
Oh, that's a good place for him.
Yeah.
You see the corpse of the deer in there. It's almost stripped of flesh. It says, the Badger says that I will not come with you through it past the door because I have young. But my mate might. And the Badger looks over at you and it says, you've done much for us and you've been very kind, and I will come with you if you wish it, to help protect you since your friend the Wolverine isn't here.
I'd hate to leave you. I'd hate to leave your young without if something bad happens.
And you say that, and the mother Badger looks over at the father and says, I told you he'd say no. You were right. He is very kindly.
I didn't say no.
Quiet from both of them.
So, but if you want,
in the same, am I
Yeah,
coming?
you can hear this area through your ring. It sounds weird to you.
Well,
but
I
Badger
mean,
is close enough to Wolverine that you can
yeah,
understand it.
you said I could. Is the ring helps out a little bit?
Yes.
If I can, I'm going to try to say it's like I'd rather not have the. I want to say more of an emphatic no.
Okay.
Stay with your family.
Okay.
It's not something that you need to bother yourself with. It's our quest, not yours.
Okay. Well, you decide you decline the Badger's assistance, and the door in front of you that leads to Mirathason beckons. Agrias and Rainmar. Over the course of the next day, now that you know where you're going, the trip is not that far. It's not that hard for you guys to get there, so travel is a lot quicker. You arrive at the base camp that you've made for Procan's Eye.
Okay.
There is something unusual that you notice right away. Remember the orcish readout that you guys had found before?
Yep.
That is now a short tower of about 20 foot high made out of stone. Around it, there is a 20-foot wall, 20 feet away from it, a square wall that surrounds it. Excuse me, a circular wall that surrounds it. Inside of it, you see people milling around. On top of it, there are two men with bows that are looking at you. They're all wearing armor, like light armor, leather, and they're just kind of spying you from a distance. One of them blows a very quiet horn when you guys come into sight. Sister Aramina looks over at you. She says, "Do you recognize them?"
This is the base that we left.
This is the base you left, but somebody has built something in the orcish readout before since you've been gone. Something has happened.
Something has happened. I immediately draw my bow and aim at one of the guys up on the thing.
They aim backwards at you. Sister Aramina kind of gets low and comes around. Elin looks at you. Agrias, should we?
I announce who I am and tell them that unless they want to eat those bows, they probably ought to put them down and open the front door.
They look down. You hear them talk to somebody on the ground level. They don't. It's hard to see hear from a distance. They're saying it kind of quietly.
Let me make myself perfectly clear. You're going to find out what your arrows taste like if you don't open the front door.
Another conversation. The front door opens, and you see.
And I go like this. I go from this to this.
The front door opens. A horse begins to trot out with a man on it. The man is wearing chainmail armor. He's got a sword at his side. He looks at you from a distance, takes his sword, tosses it aside, starts to ride up towards you. He has a shield with a large tower on it.
Do I recognize the symbol?
Make me a 20-sider.
I think I know who it is, actually. 18. No, 19.
Okay,
18.
yeah, it doesn't. You don't recognize the symbol.
19. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't recognize the symbol. Agrias, Alin looks at you. How are we going to play this?
I walk towards the horse with my hand on my blade. My new blade.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I've got his old one.
You do not have my old blade.
Agrias, before we go any farther, I need to know
Yes.
a couple things from you. The first thing I
Yep.
need to know is what spells have you memorized this morning?
Oh,
You have 2 first-level spells.
let's go with sleep.
Twice or just once?
Just once and magic missile.
Okay. And what did you choose as the stance?
Haha. I chose. Let me make sure it's the right name, sir. Ebon Whispers.
Oh, good choice. Good choice. Okay, Ebon Whispers it is. Agrias, you begin to walk up to him. Are you going alone? Or are you going with Rainmar? Or are you going with any of the members of the group?
Oh, my whole crew's coming with me. Yeah.
Okay. Rainmar, make me a percentage dice.
23.
Sunny has disappeared. Or I should say Lily has disappeared.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. Agrias, your group begins to go towards the mounted horseman.
Okay.
The horseman stops about maybe 40 feet from you, and he looks at you. He looks at Rainmar first. He says, you can put down your bow if you wish. He goes, I don't want to bring violence to you.
Well, I think I'm bringing violence to you.
He nods. He says, I know that. He says,
Oh, okay. Okay, as long as we're clear, I'll go ahead and put the bow away.
Says, but if you wish peace, he says, then there's no percentage in bringing war to you.
I shoot a really funny smirk towards Rangmar when he says, if you want peace.
Yeah, he says, if you wish someone to be your ally, then it doesn't really behoove you to bring war to them.
Oh, all right. Now that you open the front door, and I go ahead and just flip that arrow back in the
Good.
quiver.
He kind of takes a deep sigh. He says that was a risk that I wasn't sure how that was going to work.
Well, it looks like we were both quivering.
He laughs a bit. He puts his shield on his back, jumps off of his horse, starts to walk up to you. He says, which of you two is Agrias and which of you is Rainmar?
I am Agrias and this is Rangmar.
Rainmar's the handsome one.
Ilin just kind of smiles a little bit. Agrias goes, he goes up to Agrias, comes out, he offers his hand.
I shake his hand.
He goes, I'm Lord Darien. He says, I am the devout of Daern.
I knew it! I fucking knew it! I didn't need that die roll because I knew that shit.
You were right. He goes, I am the devout of Daern, and I've come to lend my strength to your group. He says, I read a small notice that was being passed around a community to the north called Cavrick's Cove, and it asked for those who would be willing to lend strength to your goals.
So you've already spoken to Herrick.
He laughs. He says, "Oh, I've spoken to him, all right. That's why we had to build this." He says, "Herrick is a very loyal man to you. He wouldn't let us within 100 yards of that place without your say-so."
That's a good man.
I love Herrick.
He says we had to make it out of stone because he said he'd burn the place to the ground if we didn't.
Where is the almighty Herrick?
I would suppose he's not too far from here with a crossbow trained on me. He smiles.
Okay, well let's go to him so we can have our friends returned at all.
He goes, I've been keeping my eye on the place. About 2 nights ago, there was a small fellowship that came from the south and was allowed into your garrison. But besides that, no one's come or left.
Okay, so there hasn't been two annoying gnomes or anything?
No, just one gnome that I counted. A gnome and an elf, and they came with some sort of woodland creature. Oh, it's important perhaps to tell you that there's a ship that's been coming and going.
Do you know the name of the captain?
No, but I can tell you the name of the ship. It says it's called the Nereid's Kiss. It says it's written on the back of the ship.
Okay.
Fine sailing vessel, it appears.
Let's head into the main camp together. And if he has this crossbow on you, just stand among us.
As he's talking, by the way, Grias and Rainmar, Lily, you see her. Once you guys talk about peace, she walks out of the shadows from behind him, puts her dagger away. She's learning to become a thief.
Okay.
Setting up the backstab.
Did she train it all with
She trained all with both of you guys.
Good.
Sister Aramina taught her how to hide in shadows.
Awesome. Okay.
There you go.
She's teaching her some of the thieves' skills, whereas she was learning fighter skills from you and Rainmar.
And Herrick.
Huh? And Herrick, of course. You go up to the front gates of the palisade fence. The palisade fence is completed at this point. There's a large moat that's been dug around it that has been connected to the ocean, so it is filled with water. It's impossible to tell how deep it is. What am I hearing?
I heard that too.
I was going to say there's music that's coming. Maybe Rainmar's playing. In any case,
that'd be atonal if he was.
You can see as you get closer, Agrias, that there is a sheen all over the water, atop the water. It looks like someone has poured oil into it. The palisade fence is there.
Nice defense.
There are men that are there's kind of been a little bit of a battlement built on there, so that right near the gate that's there, there's 3 men standing there. It looks like the laborers. They've all got crossbows. They look at you. Rainmar, Agrias! It's good to see you again.
How is everything?
Good. Open the doors for them, you fools. Darian looks over at you, Agrias and Rainmar, and says, I tried to tell them that they were fools for the oil. It's going to wash into the ocean, firstly, and secondly, they've got a wooden palisade fence. You light that on fire, you're taking out all your defenses as well. But
I'm sure Herrick's going to tell us what he has in mind.
They thought that my comment was made as a threat. Shrugs his shoulders. He says, my order of paladins, he says, we are dedicated to defenses and to installations. He says, I've studied this for many years. He just didn't want to hear it. So
okay.
The front gates open up. Herrick comes walking out. He has his crossbow right at the new guy's face, at Darian's face. He just kind of rolls his eyes. Says, Grias, Rainmar, good to see you again. If that's who you really are.
It's really us, Herrick.
How do I know you're not disguised or charmed?
Because I'll put an arrow through your eye socket.
Works for me. Come on in. Good to see you, boss. Reaches out his hand.
I shake his hand.
Is this
And
guy
as I'm
allowed in
shaking,
here or not?
as I'm shaking his hand, I go, "Can you believe this guy robbed me?" And I point at Darian.
He looked at it. He goes, "What guy?" He pulls out his crossbow, puts it in his head. Darian's like, he pulls up his shield.
And I go, "No, man, I'm just messing with you. Darian's with us."
I'm gonna start calling you Larry, Moe, and Curly over
He
here.
looks over at him, puts his. Lily gets a little smirk on her face. Lynn just rolls her eyes. Sister Aramina looks at Herrick. She says, "The other members of my order, are they still here?" "Oh, yeah, they're here." Good.
All right, Herrick.
Sit rep.
Nothing. About maybe 2 weeks ago, these tools showed up over here, and they wanted in. They wanted to help us out. I told them that they had to sit outside until you came back. They asked me what would happen if you never came back. I said you'd be sitting out there forever. It's true. He really did say that. The paladin says.
Get everyone around for a meeting. I want updates on everything that's been going on.
"You got it. Hey, close the doors. I got my eye on you, pal." He points over at Darian. "Noted." "Lily, is that you?" Sunny comes running up to her sister. You see Sunny over there. They give a big hug in the middle of the thing.
And can I fire? If I fired an arrow through Sunny's back, would it kill both her and Lily?
It would. They're
Just wanted to
giving
know.
each other a big hug.
Even though we're not part of it, they made the group made it back.
They did make it back.
Oh,
Remember, this is 9 weeks in the future of where you guys are.
from where we are at right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, actually, it's
Sunny
probably,
is still alive.
Yep. So, they're there with you. They give a big hug. You see you see somebody that's walking up to you wearing the robes of your order, has a sword at her side, Agrias, pulls back her hood, approachably pretty elf. Her face is framed by a pair of long braids, got blonde hair.
Wait, this is from my old order now.
Yeah, your old order.
So she doesn't know what I've done or who I'm with.
No idea what's going on with you.
Don't
Okay,
show her
cool.
your sword.
She sees both you and Rainmar, and she says, "I'm sorry to interrupt your reunion with your friends." She says, "But which one of you?" She looks over at you, Agrias. She goes, "Do you know where Agrias is?"
I have no idea. Have you seen him?
No, she says. She looks at you. She looks at your sword. She says, "I don't recognize your order. You're a friend of Agrias's, then?"
For my part,
She keeps looking at Agrias's blade. She says, "What about him?" She says,
What
order is
about
he?"
me?
"What?"
What about me?
"Agrias." She smiles. She nods. She says, "I didn't recognize you without your blade." She nods at the chrysanthemum.
Do we know each other?
No, you have no idea who she is.
what's her order?
Carlos, I'm a character.
Oh, sorry. She looks. She says, "You don't know who I am." She says, "My name is Maria." She says, I followed you in your tutelage under the Black Orchid. I've heard many tales of you. I learned of what happened to you under the Black Orchid. It was wrong. And so I've left the Order, and I've come to join forces with you if you'll have me."
Uh-huh.
She says, the Order is powerful and wise, but it's not always correct, as I've learned. As you no doubt have learned while you studied there as well.
I slowly start reaching for my sword and start giving Rangmar a sideways glance.
So here's the deal, sweetheart. Agrias is not in control here. He is now a disciple of mine. So in order for you to be among us, you'll have to swear allegiance to me. And I want one of your braids.
She looks over at Agrias and she says, "Do you accept my offer of fellowship?"
I look at her hands for that coin as for a challenge. Nothing.
Do we hold on?
What is it?
Do we have the coin from your other challenge?
She completely ignored you, by the way, Raymar. Raymar, in the distance, you see the captain starting to walk from the shore towards your group.
Oh, I closed the distance to talk to the Capitan.
So you're ignoring this completely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're done with this. Okay, you just
Yeah.
walk past. She watches you walk past. She says, "Since you've left the order, I see that you keep unusual company."
I do have a bit of a ragtag crew nowadays.
It's fair. I understand. You should know that I've met with your other friends, the ones to the south. I have reason to believe that they're in significant peril.
Friends to the south, okay.
Yes, your friends are Arion and Brixton.
Is Arion in danger, or did Brixton put them in danger?
She thinks about it for a second. She says, "As I recall it might have been a bit of both."
Great.
She says, "We were
Okay.
attacked by a wizard who threw fire from the skies at us. He scattered our lot. They believe they have a way into Mirathason, but they asked me to come north to gather enough of us to reinforce them." She looks around the camp. She says, "There's only one of you here that was willing to go that I thought would make a worthy addition." She looks over at Herrick. She says, "The rest of them are either too inexperienced or refuse to leave the garrison. But now that you're here, perhaps you would wish to reinforce your friends."
I mean, we do need Arion.
Lily comes back over. She comes back over. She's, "Agrias, I think we need to go south to. I think Brixton's in trouble."
Well, what is your allegiance changing? Are you being swayed all of a sudden?
"No," she says, "but." She looks over at Sunny and she says, "She's still my sister, and I think she's in love with him."
Okay, right when she says that, I look over at Sunny and I just give her the death glare. I mean, I'm looking into her soul right now.
She tries her best to look back at you like that, and then she just kind of looks away and looks up at the woods and stuff.
Is there somewhere nearby that I can vomit when I hear her say that she's in love with Brixton?
Yeah.
Is there a safe place?
Speaking of which, the captain, she sits down at where the fire usually is, and she sits there and just kind of. And I just saw we have a raid in from another group. Thanks, Nightheart Gaming, for coming in and joining the first Betrayal. We appreciate that. You're coming at a time to see these guys at their finest, I might add. The captain sits where the fire usually is on the log, and she looks at you. She goes, "Oh, you decided to come back."
Well,
she has her hat on, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to, but I got to be honest, I haven't quite been keeping up on my fitness.
Oh, yeah. She says, "You look like you might have gotten a little soft since you've been gone."
Yeah, you're the best trainer I've ever had.
She kind of smiles a little bit. She goes, "Flattery will get you everywhere."
It always has.
Not there.
Why don't we come back to the ship and you and I can discuss this in private?
I think we need to. We have a lot to discuss. Honestly, I just need to drop off my gear and I'll be right there.
Mm-hmm. She says, "Once you leave it on," she says. It gives a little bit of a smile.
Well, last time you wore it, I thought that was okay. Fine, whatever.
She looks over at the rest of your crew and she says, "I'll be taking Rainmar now." She takes her hat off and puts it on Rainmar's head, grabs his hand, and starts to pull him back over towards the ship.
I just give her a...
She goes, I can't promise I'll bring him back in the same condition as I left him, but you knew it was dangerous.
Yeah, you're not the first to tell me that, sweetheart.
Why would I want to be in the same condition that I got here? I mean, I have a
The elf looks at you, Agrias, and says, when do you wish to leave?
I look at her and I go, hang on, I have to do damage control here. And I look back at Sonny and I go, if you really loved him, why are you here? Why are you not with him right now?
Because he told me that I had to leave.
But if he loved you, wouldn't he want you by his side?
You know what's interesting about this is probably the first good decision that Brixton's ever made.
She looks at you, Agrias, and she says, listen, let me tell you something. Okay?
Oh, you're going to tell me something.
Yes, I am. You seem to know everything about everything until someone asks you a question, and then you know nothing. So let me inform you.
I draw my sword while she's talking.
You're drawing your sword?
Yeah.
She pulls her dagger out. She goes, do you want to do this right here in front of everyone? Let's dance. If you want to do this, we'll do this right now. She goes, I'll cut you from neck to belly faster than you can say Rainmar.
Rainmar.
Okay, do it again.
I cast sleep on this runt.
You're going to cast sleep?
Yeah.
Okay, she says, I'm going to tell you something. Just because you love somebody doesn't necessarily mean they're in love with you yet, okay? But maybe he hasn't noticed. I feel really weird. I need to get something to eat, I think. Just because he hasn't noticed me yet. She falls to the ground. Sonny, Lily goes over there. She looks over at you, kind of scowls at you, Lily does. She goes, you didn't have to put her to sleep.
Did you want me to kill her or put her to sleep?
Yes.
I understand. Sonny just gets wound up. She says, she's always been like that. I'll take
Lily, I want you to go find Herrick and start training.
Okay, can I drag her into the carriage first?
Nah, just leave her
Oh,
there.
no, she's all mine. I'll take care of your sister.
Don't hurt her, please.
That's ominous.
It's only going to hurt a little at first, Lily. Don't worry.
She nods. Walks away.
Okay, I turn back to the elf.
Melina looks at you. Are you going
And
to
I
kill
go,
her?
okay,
Are you going to
you're
kill
here
her?
to help, yes?
Yes. Do you want me to kill her?
Huh. Whimsical.
I need you to gag her and then tie her up.
Where would you like me to put her?
As close to the fireplace as possible.
There's an ocean right there. I mean,
She looks at you. She says, the closest place to the fireplace is in the fire. Is
I
that
like
what
you.
want?
I like this girl. Maybe I shouldn't have went with the captain.
No, tie her up and put her in one of the tents.
She nods.
And then I ask her, but what exactly did you find out that made you leave the monastery?
This. She opens up her sword. She screws off the bottom of it and pulls out a document and hands it to you. She walks away and she starts to tie up Lily with a silk rope over at the fire. Drags her over the fireplace. Sonny, I should say. Are you going to read the document?
Yeah.
Okay, Arion and Brixton, going back to you. Welcome back, Agrias.
You know, the last time you did that, I was in the middle of a duel and I was sweating.
You should sweat again then.
Another question, I'm sort of half here because of Tobias. Because they're the dummies, isn't he supposed to be protecting them?
Wait, just wait.
Okay, just curious. You're
Brixton
playing
and Arion.
but
You are at the doorway.
Okay.
Brixton, you have opened this doorway previously, or seen that it's hard to open, but you've also seen that it's not trapped before when you were here before. Which one of you would like to be the caller for this session for your group?
Well, it depends on who wants to
Who am I electing as leader?
Brixton's more at home underground, but I can track, so whatever. It doesn't matter.
I did it last time. Let's David do it.
Okay, David, you're the caller. I need to know what your marching order is, and I want to know how you address going into the
Well, I would say Brixton, being the gnome thief, would be first, number one, because he can check the doors or whatever for traps.
And you can also shoot over his head.
I can shoot a bow over the top of him.
Correct. One other thing, Arion. The last time that you left here, you spiked that door closed. You may remember. Will you take you're going to take the spike out, I assume?
As long as we can, as far as we can tell, if nothing is,
it doesn't seem like anything is
something that might be, if we can hear something through the door, I don't know.
No, and when you start to listen to the door, the Badgers inform you that they have heard nothing outside the door. It's one of the reasons why they chose to lair here.
Okay.
Because it doesn't seem like there's anything on the other side of the door.
I would say it's fairly safe to unspike it.
Mm-hmm. When you unspike it, will you use the spike to now spike it open?
I asked the Badgers, do you want us to have this kept open, or do you want us to close it?
The Badgers say it doesn't. The mother Badger says it doesn't matter to me.
If we spike it closed, or if we leave it open, is there a way that we can get back through a lot? If we have to go back this way, is it going to be something we're going to have to worry about with them?
Yeah, very possibly. It's hard to say what happens when you're gone. There's two schools of thought. If you spike it open, if somebody tries to close it behind you to seal you off, you're going to hear it. If you also spike it open, escape is quicker. However, if you do not spike it open, if somebody passes by it, it's going to look normal to them.
Well, here's the thing. Can I spike it open? Not obviously, but have it, cracked.
You could try that. Brixton,
it looks like it's closed, but so it can't be jammed shut.
Yes, you can do that, Brixton.
Can we trap it with an alarm?
I can do that too.
You could trap it
so that it looks normal from the other side, and then we can, if somebody's using the door, then
Brixton, I'd like you and Ariane both to roll me percentile dice.
98.
How about an 84?
Between the two of you, you rig up a bell system on the door. You are 90% sure that if anybody were to finagle with the door in any way, shape, or form, you would hear it.
Another question, and to jog my memory, in this room, is this, other than the door and the entrance that we came out of, there's no other?
Yeah, it's just an empty room.
Okay. I basically tell the Badgers, as best I can, that I wish them the best of luck, and if anything bad comes, to try to get out as best they can.
We'll take our young first, and if we can help you, we will.
I appreciate it, but I would say stress your own safety before ours.
Yes, but it is difficult to find friends here. And you have been kind to us, and we will be kind to you in return.
That's why I say...
She looks over at the deer carcass. She goes, you've helped my young become strong and given them a chance to become mighty in this world. We would do the same for you.
All right.
So you leave. Badgers are pretty lawful creatures. So, go ahead, Brixton.
Can I still feel Aurora?
You can feel the barest tinges of her presence.
Okay,
she's right on the edge of your connection. You're not being empowered by her, but you can sense her presence.
Okay, and can I communicate through it?
Maybe. You're not sure if she would receive it.
Okay.
Along those lines, I asked Brixton if he can generalize, if the way that this corridor, I'm guessing there's a corridor beyond the door here, if the corridor is heading more in a direction or more away from where she's at.
Peeking through the door, there is a corridor beyond here. What you find about the corridor is very short. It is only maybe about 7 foot high, right? Which stands to reason for you because it was made by dwarves.
Right.
However, it looks like it's going in the general direction of the river.
Okay. Paralleling or toward?
No, it's like it's going perpendicular to it. So you would actually be going closer to where she is.
Okay.
Brixton?
Is this a dead end? So is the corridor only going one way?
No, it just disappears out of sight, the end of it, as you look down it.
Okay.
Oh, and yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, it is.
So the corridor ends in
side. Yes.
Oh, no, so there's only one way down the.
Yes, there is only one way down.
Okay.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Brixton, you go first then?
Yeah.
Okay. As you go into the corridor smells of age, of seawater. It smells slightly damp. There's a feeling of precipitation in the air, of humidity, but which is very strange because it's cold. It's cold in here. Probably a good 15 degrees colder than where the badgers were. The corridor slopes downward at like a 15-degree angle before disappearing at its end. Are you going to continue down it?
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Eric.
Where the badgers have this lair, in relation to the river, is it up above, higher elevation than what the river?
It is probably about equal in elevation to the midpoint of the river.
So this is actually heading down, like almost like
Under
with the other passages underneath.
Precisely. That is precisely what it's doing.
Does this corridor seem about the same feel, whether humidity, temperature?
Yeah, very similar, except the scent of seawater is stronger here than it was before. Before you sensed water and it was distant. It's closer and it's more powerful now. Ariane, also roll me a percentage die.
5.
There are no tracks anywhere here.
Okay.
Brixton, you begin down the hallway. How far are you going to go before stopping or anything, or are you just going to follow it to its conclusion?
I'm just going to keep following. I want to keep my eye open for along the walls for any secret entrances, doors.
Roll me a 6-sider, please.
And noting the presence with Aurora. Okay. I got a 3.
So are you going to do your best to follow Aurora's presence? Or are you just going to try and keep track of it?
I'm just going to try to keep track of it, see where it's stronger, where it's weaker, trying to get it.
Well, as you go down the hallway, it's definitely getting stronger. The hallway continues to slope downwards, and as you go, it seems to slope more and more a sharper grade, to the point where at its maximum, it becomes like a 25 to 35 degree grade. So it's very noticeable that you're going downward.
Question for you, Carlos.
Yes.
Being a half-elf, what I know, and I don't know if you've checked or whatever, but just passing beyond like a concealed door.
Yes, you get the one. You get the 2 and 6 detective passing by.
Okay.
I have a macro on my screen right now that enables me to track that.
Okay.
So anyway.
I was just curious.
The wizard lets you look behind the curtain just a little bit there. Yeah, I have certain macros for each of you guys that I have on the screen that allow me to kind of do real-time tracking.
How much of a techie you are, boy.
I used to be a IT guy in my former life, don't forget.
Hey, I was a techie until they came out with Windows.
Oh, Jesus. All right, Captain Doss.
Basic Pascal and machine language.
I remember machine language. So anyway, you go ahead and you begin down the corridor. Brixton, the corridor ends finally in a stone door. The door looks extremely solid, and it has runes written on its face in Dwarvish.
Me too. Minus the ruins on my face.
Yes. Are you going to read them?
I sure am.
It says I prepared explosive runes today. No, I'm just kidding. Do you know Dwarven?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and read it. Go ahead and give me a percentage die.
Okay.
Ariane, are you gonna? How close are you following Brixton?
Basically, I'm standing back so we can maneuver around each other. I'm keeping a watch behind, and
Say 15 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, between 10 and 15, yeah.
Okay, so you're about 15 feet behind Brixton. Brixton, as you read the runes, it says it's a very old dialect of Dwarven, very ancient. And it says, ye who have come to the city of Mirathason know welcome. It says that, we are the city beneath the waves. We are the dwarves of the ocean.
That's something new that we didn't know, if that's true.
Brixton, will you open the door?
I will inspect the door. I want to check it
die.
and stuff. 43.
The door is trapped. The door is trapped recently. Inside, through the crack, as you start pulling out your thieves' tools, you run a shim down it, and you feel a wire on the
Throw a meat
inside
barrel
of
at
it.
it.
Feel a wire on the inside of it. Will you try and disarm the trap?
Sunny's not here to do that, is she?
No, she's not.
Yeah, well.
Percentage die for me.
60.
Okay. Brixton starts to run his shim down there, and finally, you feel like you've disarmed it. Feels like something is spring loaded behind the door.
Can I gauge what it might be?
Yeah, it feels like there was somebody had put some kind of contraption behind the door that was spring loaded, that when the door opened, it was going to snap forward.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell Arion to stay back, and I'm short enough that this probably just go over my head.
Okay.
And I'm gonna.
I'm gonna ask him also, which way do you want me to move? Can you figure out which direction this thing would be?
Yeah, it feels like it's going to snap the opposite way the door opens. So he would probably be safer to be on the right-hand side of the hall.
I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be very aware and bow drawn.
Brixton, are you going to open the door?
I'm going to crouch and open the door.
You crouch and open the door, and that is how you find out that you failed to disarm the trap, because the plank of wood that has got iron spikes that are dripping with green gack on them snaps over your head at lightning speed, crashing into the wall behind you.
Gack?
Yeah, some kind of gunk. It's hard to tell what it was.
So it was probably pretty loud for starters.
It was pretty loud, and on top of that, it was really new. Like maybe in the last couple weeks.
Okay, and can I like take any of that gunk?
Yeah, you can scrape it off. Arion, roll me a percentage, please.
All right. As I do that, I'm gonna if there's green gack, as you put it, I'm gonna take some of that if I can in one of my small.
To scrape it off as well.
26.
Arion, this is definitely an orcish trap. You've seen this before. You guys, it did slap over your head, Brixton. The wood shattered on the wall. It echoes down. There's a corridor past the door, okay? It goes forward probably about maybe 20 feet to another door, and then it breaks into a T left and right. You can hear the sound of that thing echoing through
the hallway.
corridors.
So the door's there, and then there's corridors going off before the door on either side. You
hear the sounds of movement deeper in. It's hard to tell because everything is echoing, but whatever, something heard that. You also are aware of the feeling of Aurora not all that far. You are currently empowered. Agrias and Rainmar. Let's start with Rainmar. The number is 468.
Okay.
That's how many nails are on the ceiling of the room, the captain's chambers in her bed chambers inside of the Nereid's shawl.
Yep, got it.
You only had it took you probably about 2.5 hours to count those because of the way you were rolling around constantly and having things thrown over your head. And yeah, it was quite a, it's like a martial training dealing with the captain in her bed chambers.
I've been training.
So. She's a rough one. Yeah,
if you have time to count that many, I think it'd be definitely not interested.
Oh, no. He needed to find a possible weapon.
Yeah.
When it comes to her. So, Rainmar, that's what you've been doing for the last 2 hours. What are you going to do when you're done? She's laying in there in bed with you. She looks at you and she says, this is probably the closest you're ever going to get to me saying anything complimentary, so you might want to pay attention. I think I missed you.
I give her a little slap on the baboosh, and then I meet up with Agrias.
Try not to get yourself killed.
I'll see what I can do. Thanks for the advice.
You're too pretty to die.
Facts.
She lets you leave. You walk out of the boat. Agrias, got down the gangplank. Agrias, what are you going to do?
I'm going to read that document.
The document, it's actually 2 sheets of paper. The first is the wanted poster that you were given before.
Has it increased at all?
No, it is not.
Okay.
The second is probably more interesting than that. It is written in the hand of your master. And it says the following. Please travel to the city of Marner and give this document to the scrivener casl. He will know how to disseminate this to the parties that matter. And there's a stamp on the bottom of the Black Orchid.
I look at her and I go, do you know who this is?
The scrivener?
Yeah.
Who wrote this? It should be apparent who wrote it.
Yes, thank you. But the scrivener.
No, I have no idea who the scrivener is. I went to Marner before I came here. The scrivener was killed.
All right.
She looks at you and shrugs. She says it's standard procedure. He disseminated it and then was assassinated to tie up loose ends to avoid possible traceback. I took this document from his desk.
Okay, and is it fully disseminated? Like, what's going on?
This document was given to the Assassin's Guild in Marner, which was then given to the Assassin's Guild, probably in the nearby cities, for all the cities that are big enough to find it, to host one, I should say. They're coming for you, Agrias.
And you said you're a member of the Black Orchid.
I was.
Okay.
She pulls out her sword and shows you the bottom of it. The stamp has been filled over with pitch. She says, I bear no flower now.
And what's the declaration of the Black Orchid?
She kind of sighs. She says, you wish a formal greeting?
I do.
She nods. She gets down on one knee and offers you the formal declaration.
Okay.
She says it perfectly in ancient Elvish. And when she's done, she looks back up at you. And she says, I hope that it's the last time I will ever have to offer that. She says our order was supposed to be founded on honor. It was supposed to be formed on fellowship. All flowers grow within the garden. These are the words of the tenebrous hand. She says, some flowers are not meant to strangle others from life.
I offer my hand as a warrior handshake.
She takes it and stands back up. She says, my blade is yours so long as we use it justly.
We have an agreement.
She nods. Now, you must sate my curiosity. You see Rainmar walking away from the ship. Rainmar looks maybe a little bit worse for wear.
I roll my eyes.
She looks back at you. She says, you must sate my curiosity now. On two counts. Firstly, she looks over at the fire where Sunny is tied up over there. She says, your relationship is extremely odd. You know she's but a child.
For a gnome, yeah, but we have a love-hate relationship. It's mostly hate.
I see that.
But I love it.
Her end. Mine is nothing but tough love. They need to, be beat up a little bit to just know they're on the same team.
Well, it seems to be working for the other one. She looks over at Herrick and Lily who are practicing. Lily, it seems, has been practicing for the last 2 hours straight with Herrick. And every once in a while, you'll see Herrick go, okay, kid, we're done. No, we're not. We need to keep going. She says, Agrias never quit on his master, and I'm not going to quit on you. Let's go.
But his master quit on him.
Let's go.
No?
I want to learn more. I want to learn more.
I sigh and I look at, what's her name again?
Melina.
And I go, yeah, that one's of tougher stuff. And she's been around me longer. That helps. I say jokingly.
It's clear. Now, she says, that there's going to be a problem when you meet up with your friend Brixton for your treatment of his apprentice.
Oh, I'm scared.
You heard that just as you walk up, Rainmar. And she looks back over her shoulder and looks over at you. She says, oh, I see that you've returned.
I have indeed. Have you guys worked out your little sexual tension?
It's interesting you should mention that from a man who smells of jasmine.
So I laugh and then ask her, what's your second curiosity?
My second curiosity, she says, is your blade. She looks over at the chrysanthemum. A new flower blooms upon its steel, or that can't possibly be steel. She looks at it again. Is that true mithril?
I made an oath. I'm not allowed to discuss.
I see.
Or reveal.
I see. I know enough of the order to know what the chrysanthemum means. If it's true that she's not but a legend, you have a very powerful ally.
You're talking about me or the chrysanthemum?
She looks back at you again. She says, I was referring to the chrysanthemum, but perhaps you can tell me about yourself as well. Your name is Rainmar.
It is, and my flower is apparently jasmine.
Yes, I see that. She says, what skills do you have aside of wenching?
I haven't really discovered that yet. I do occasionally put an arrow through somebody's eyeball, but aside from that, I don't know. I write a lot of stuff down. Would you mind if I pick your brain as we make our way?
Of course, but I would ask for something in return.
I've already given that today.
She laughs. She says, no. She says, your guitar. I would speak as long as you would play.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
In which language would you prefer him to sing?
Easy there, champ.
She looks and she seems to think about it. She says, whatever tongue it is that you believe that I have never heard.
I rolled a 20. I break my guitar over Agrias' head. What are
You're going to need that
odds?
luthier's kit.
Seriously, right? Okay.
What she says, yeah, whatever tongue you believe I haven't heard before. The music is more important than the lyrics to me.
And what tongues do you know?
There's a good question.
She says, well, I can speak in the common tongue. I know Elvish. As do all members of our order, I understand ancient Elvish, so I could read the scripts. Halfling, Gnome, Orcish, Gnoll, Kobold. Shrugs a little bit. Looks back at Raymar.
One of my very favorite languages to sing in is Gnomish. So,
indeed, I would be pleased to hear you speak in Gnomish. Now she thinks about it. Will you speak in Gnomish or will you speak in ancient Nim?
yes.
She looks over at Agrias and she smiles. She says, if you have need of me, I will be telling our friends stories.
Good. Understood. I go and search for Herrick and the Gnoll.
Herrick is sitting there. He's sitting on a rock. Lily's trying to catch her breath, drinking out of a canteen. Hey, what's up, Agrias?
I need an update on what's going on in the last 9 weeks, man.
All right. Well, let me start. We finished the palisade fence. Sister Aramina's buddies were pretty helpful. The Gnoll especially. He's strong as hell. Big guy. Then the holy warrior showed up. That holy roller, and I made him stay outside. He brought some buddies with him.
How many?
They built a little fortification there.
Okay.
Besides that, he goes, the captain has been going with Shanna up and down the coast. They said they were looking for something. They're kind of vague about what they were looking for, but a couple times I saw them go straight out into the ocean. So I'm not really sure what they're doing. I get the impression maybe they're looking for the right place to build the raft that they were talking about, but it's hard to tell. I mean, they don't really... I ain't you. They don't tell me much. I think that they're trying to keep it information kind of close, you know?
Makes sense.
But besides that, let me think. The captain's been back a few times. She brought a bunch of stuff. We paid the guys. Oh, that's right. We have a pay package for you guys. We got a pay package for you guys over at the colonel's tent. We were keeping it in a strong box in case just in case you needed it. Made sure that nobody touched it. Don't grab it though without me telling you. I put traps on it. So yeah, let me open it before you or Raymar get a hold of it. All right.
Okay.
Besides that, he goes, we've been trying to find Brixton and Arion. I sent a couple guys south. They never came back though.
Okay.
Then that elf over there showed up. I would have made her stay outside too, but she had Tobias and Sonny with her, so they were obviously cleared to enter. We let them in, and they told us about the Arion and Brixton that stayed back. They're down to the south of the river. They found something. That entrance to that city they were looking for. I guess it's complicated though, getting in. So what they sent the girls up and the Wolverine up to try and get help. I told them that they could go pound salt up their asses until you guys came back, because I wasn't going to commit any of our people without your say-so.
You're a good man. What about Einar?
Einar was with them. Einar and Merrick, he was with Brixton and Arion.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. Those guys are down there. They didn't. The girls didn't mention those two.
Okay. And you said they're south?
Yeah, they're to the south. I guess they're up the coast. They made a camp up there, so we should be able to find them pretty easy.
Okay, I want you to work with Darion with continuing to fortify.
That fucking guy? Really? Come on, boss. He's got
Herrick?
the biggest... He's got a quarterstaff up his ass the size of your arm. I'll do it though. I mean, I'll do whatever you say, boss. You're in charge, but I'm just letting you know. I mean, you know how these holy types are.
I do.
I mean,
but you're not.
not talking about say Arion or Alin. I mean, they got that druid thing going on, so they're a little more down to earth. But these guys, I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. You tell me what you need me to do, boss. I'll shut up and listen.
I don't need you to work under him. I need you to work with him. It's a.
All right. So what are we doing?
Continuing to fortify and just take his advice, because these holy types are all about defense.
Yeah, that's what he said. He says he doesn't like the wood. He says we need to reinforce it with some kind of. He's got this idea for some kind of mortar to put in it. I guess his thing is druids have a spell to warp wood, and clerics. I guess holy types have spells to warp wood and stone. He goes, but there's no spell to warp mortar. I don't know if it's true or not. So he just wants us to code it with this. And in case I catch the moat on fire, he says that it'll help us not burn the thing to the ground. I guess it's a solid idea, but I didn't want to do anything without your say so. Plus, he pissed me off, so I didn't really want to take his advice anyway. I mean,
makes sense.
Well, who the hell does he think he is? He's not a part of this crew. I mean, he's not going to give me any orders, especially with you gone. Are you kidding me? He's lucky he's breathing.
I understand, but this is
Yeah. I'll do like you said, but
okay.
I do know this though. I guess that elf, the one that dresses like you, and and Sunny, where the hell did she go anyway? Lily just kind of doesn't say anything. She just keeps drinking out of her canteen.
That's nothing important, but
I guess they had something to tell you, something important. But
okay, where's Tobias?
I don't know. He's probably eating something. I haven't seen him in a while.
Okay, just keep the food guarded from him. Rations.
He looks over. He goes, Lily. She looks up. You got a job. Go find that Wolverine. Make sure he doesn't eat too much. All right. And I'll go and I'll get with Darian and we'll try and secure this place. Sound good, boss?
All good. Just make sure you work with Darian. I'm gonna take the rest and.
Yeah. I got it.
Okay, I have to go get Arion and Brixton.
He nods. Rainmar, in the meantime, you've been regaling the elf with song, and she's been telling you stories of the Order. It's weird now that you're hearing the stories from the perspective of the Black Orchid. They tell stories a little differently than the Chrysanthemum did. The Chrysanthemum was thrown out of the Order apparently for not obeying orders. There is a very spoken loyalty between flowers. Okay, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to work towards the greater whole, because the gardener, who is in charge of the whole operation, doesn't really give out all the information to all the different flowers, because he wants to make sure that if somebody turns, they don't have the whole story. So you have to follow orders and just trust in the gardener. Well, the Chrysanthemum apparently didn't like something that the gardener had to say about killing somebody in specific, and as a result, the Chrysanthemum was thrown from the garden. But in the doing so, the Chrysanthemum, I guess, killed at least 20 members of at least a score of men, plus 3 flowers. She is extremely dangerous. She's insane. She's delved too far into the mysteries of darkness. She's uncovered secrets that were never meant to be told, that are dangerous.
Okay.
They call them mysteries, I guess, and paths and stances. Her martial art is extremely, extremely dangerous because it is there are gods and things that are tangible forms of darkness. There are things that lurk within the darkness that man and elf should not disturb. They should leave sleeping. She wakes them, she prods them with her every mystery she uncovers.
Is there a
therefore she must be destroyed.
The chrysanthemum must be destroyed.
The chrysanthemum must be destroyed at all costs.
And Melina believes this?
No, she's just telling you the stories.
Yeah, got it.
She's just telling you the story. She has. Are you going to ask her what she thinks?
Maybe not yet.
Yeah,
how did I play?
Roll me another 20.
13.
And give me one more 20, please.
20.
You felt like your playing was about average, but your singing was awesome today.
Okay.
I feel like Nim is a really tricky language for people who don't have the composition, the physiology of a gnome, but you feel like you hit every bit of it just right. And she seemed extremely impressed too. Extremely impressed.
So would you say that in the relationship that I established with her that my charisma was working?
Yes, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I would say that you impressed her greatly, but in turn, she sort of impressed you as well. She's a scholar, obviously. She's learned a lot. You get the impression that whereas Agrias studied more the martial aspects of the art, that she was more interested in the written stuff, a lot of the scrolls. Maybe like she worked in the library, perhaps.
Okay. And then I guess another question would be, you've kind of implied this, but I just want to make sure that I'm reading this. So in the conversation with her, did she kind of suggest that the darkness has a sentience?
Yes. And she has named the sentience, actually.
Okay, do tell.
The name of the sentience is Thurisdan.
Got it. And I'm assuming I recognize. I'm assuming I recognize the name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thurisdan.
Okay. I'll try not to metagame.
Thurisdan.
Well, me too. Yeah,
is
for sure.
The god of darkness, decay, entropy, and insanity. At the beginning of the universe, Thurisdan represented its slow eventual decline into oblivion. Such was the might and the ferociousness of Thurisdan that all the gods assembled, evil ones, good ones, neutral ones, they all assembled to conspire to imprison him. Thurisdan has remained imprisoned since those days, but he has a very active cult that always tries to free him. Thurisdan is a greater threat than anything in the universe to all that exists. If it is true what she is saying, if the Black Orchid is right and she is not right, then what Agrias dabbles in right now is dangerous beyond mortal ken.
Yeah. Okay. But I would have put that together, even documenting what the chrysanthemum was saying.
Yeah, you documented what you got half of the story from the chrysanthemum. What you now know between the two stories is that there is a middle ground here.
Okay.
There is a middle ground. It's just who is more right than the other that you don't really know yet.
Yeah, it seems like they're both riddled with facts. The next question I have is, if I had her look at the sword that Agrias gave me from his first duel, does she have any insight into that blade?
Yeah, the one that was from the fallen, the one that the woman he killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, she looks at it and she says, "Yes, I recognize this blade. In fact, I know its former owner."
Okay. Can you tell?
This she studied under the rose. You can see right here. She traces her finger on the rune at the bottom. She says she was very skilled. Her name was Viona. She says I knew her very well.
Do you know why?
Looks over at you. What?
Do you know why she was sent to kill a Grice?
Fiona was very ambitious. She probably just wanted to impress her master. She probably thought that she was bringing honor to the order by doing the will of the gardener and her master. Looks back at you, she says, the fact that you hold her blade now shows that she failed.
It was a gift.
Hey, Jingo the Fool, thank you for following us. We appreciate it, brother. Yes, she says, it's not a gift to be looked at, to be taken lightly. She says, what you hold is a piece of history in your hands. You hold the representation of someone's faith, skill, will, everything that they worked for their entire lives you hold in your hands. It's not to be taken lightly.
I don't think I was.
No, I wasn't implying that you were. Forgive me if it seems that I did. Raymar, you seem a man who is depths that are not apparent at first.
Yeah,
I must
that can
admit,
be really deep.
I must admit I misjudged you when we first met.
Yeah, that's okay. It happens.
I won't make that same mistake again.
No, you won't.
Meanwhile, back down under the ground, Ariane, you and Brixton are down there. You heard that rustling in the distance.
Right. Question for you.
Yes.
That I want to ask Brixton too. He had that one blade that he found way long time ago, like however long ago.
Yes, in the tunnels.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I asked for when
Are you really going to remind him of that?
What I'm getting is when I handled it before, did I feel any animosity? If it was like evilly tinged or something like that, did I feel anything? I'm guessing I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
You did.
I asked Brixton. I was wondering if I could use the blade because I think it's a longsword as well. Correct?
It is.
I'm not sure what we're up against, but I want to test this out in combat if I can, because I'm guessing we're going to be into it, and I'm going to judge it by what I've got. See if I can figure out what it might be.
Brixton, what do you think?
Ooh. That's the question, isn't it? What sword? Yeah, it's in the bag. It's in the bag. Can I rig that trap backwards?
No, because the plank broke on the wall after it was triggered.
Okay.
What I was trying to think of, the door. Can I tell if that one, ahead of us? I don't know how close we are to this intersection.
About 20 feet away from the intersection. The footsteps, the motion are getting closer. It's echoing all over. It's hard to tell what it is.
I draw an arrow.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell where it's coming from. Go ahead, Ariane. What are you going to do?
Here's what I was thinking during the interim here. If possibly, we could possibly spike the door shut, okay. But I don't know if it opens in or out because we aren't close enough to find it.
It opens outward, you can tell.
So we could actually spike it closed if we possibly could.
You could spike it closed.
Can we tell which direction the noises are coming from and approximately distance?
Ariane, to tell that, you would have to get at least into the intersection.
Okay.
Which you would need to do anyway to spike the door. Are you going to do that?
Another question. How narrow of a gap on the upper or below on the door is there? Gap from floor to door. Would an arrow spike it?
No. And anyway, The arrows, the gauge of the arrow, because it is wood, it would break on the stone.
Okay, I was just wondering if I could.
Using the iron spike is the only way to do it.
Okay.
Gonna go ahead and do that?
Can I?
Go ahead, Brixton.
If I cast 2 delusion to make the hallway seem like Arion's not standing in the intersection, can we still see through there?
Too big of an effect. 2 delusion isn't going to be that big of an area.
Okay.
Although you could use something else to do that if you wanted to, but that's not that's too big of an effect.
Gotcha.
Okay, Arion begins to spike. Brixton, are you standing there with him in front of the door?
I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna peek over the corners. I'm gonna just keep an
you're
eye.
kind of left, right, kind of looking.
Yeah.
Both of you roll me a 20.
6.
7.
The reason why echoes are coming and you can't tell where they're coming from is they're coming from both directions.
Okay.
Can the footsteps are multiple. You guess that there's more than 10 probably on both sides.
Okay.
Now, is there anything coming through the door?
No. However, the door is awful thick. You have not told me you are listening to the door.
Can I listen to do I have time to listen to the door?
Yeah, probably. Go ahead and roll me a percentage.
Can I tell, as he's listening, can I tell which direction might be something coming closer?
Yeah, probably to the right. Brixton, what'd you roll?
23.
There is something behind the door. It's trying to creep towards the door.
Okay.
Did you say I was spiked? Did I
yes,
spike?
Yes, you have now successfully spiked the door.
Okay. As he's listening, I'm taking a flask of oil and tossing it down the corridor.
To the right?
To the closest.
Okay. Roll me a 20.
16.
Okay, I assume it's a lit flask. You're getting a Molotov cocktail it?
No, I'm just boiling it.
Okay. You throw oil down there. You hear it shatter and something yell out. Brixton, roll me a 20.
18.
You recognize it's a curse word, something to the equivalent of shit in Kobold. Ariane, I don't think you speak Kobold, do you?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so. You hear the epithet, but you don't recognize what it means.
Well, I can recognize the tone at least.
Yeah, you recognize it too. That's why I said it's an epithet, but you can't.
Do I also recognize possibly the same language coming from the other way?
No, there's no voices yet coming from that direction.
I inform
quickly. What's that, Brixton?
I inform Arion as Kobold. I tell him Kobold. And yeah, I just kind of have my arrow at the ready.
Okay. Ariana and Brixton, both of you roll me a 6 and tell me who is higher.
What size?
6. You roll a 1, Brixton?
I got a 1.
4.
Brixton says cobalt. He gets cobalt out of his mouth, and a spear comes hurtling down the hallway. It's a javelin, actually, a short javelin, and it pierces directly through his shoulder. Blood explodes everywhere. It takes 6.
Do our hit points go up at second level?
Yes, and I've already accounted for it. And I've also accounted for the fact that you are empowered right now.
From where I threw the flask, right?
Yes, same direction. You hear tons of little whispers coming from that direction now. Things are flooding towards you on both sides.
Can I throw and I suppose I can't do two actions or 2 different. What I'd like to do is try to do flask of oil on the other side and then 2 arrows.
Nope,
or
just a flask or 2 arrows, your choice.
I'll do a flask, and if I can, I'll try to light
Other
up
direction, you said?
a flask down the other way,
Lit or
and,
not?
and I'll try to light one off with one arrow if I can.
Okay.
If you
Go ahead and roll me a 20.
17.
Okay, you throw the arrow. Make me another 20, please.
18.
You're shuffling for your bow. You're trying to pull it back. It's going to take you a little bit longer to get it. You got the
Okay.
bow ready. You hear the oil flask. Something yells out when it hits on the side. Brixton, you're bleeding. Just blood is gushing down the front of your chest. It's painful. You don't feel like you're dying. It's just really painful.
Yeah. Can I Molotov white pitch down the other hallway?
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna do that.
You see Brixton, Arion. He takes his white pitch. He has his tinderbox and his flint and steel along his leg. He just kind of smashes it across there. It lights up, and you see him hurl it down the hallway. Go ahead and roll me a 20. 2. Okay.
2.
You see it hit the ground and spread out everywhere. When it does that, the one kobold that was hit by the oil goes up like just a torch. You hear him screaming. That was the one that David hit with his first flask of oil. But because of the flames that are licking down there, you now see down the hallway. There's at least 30 kobolds rushing down there with short javelins in their hands, screaming and just with just fury in their eyes. David, you finally get that arrow off. Go ahead and roll me a 20.
14.
You do the same on that side. You hit with your flaming arrow something that was oiled up, goes up like a torch, and you see almost the identical scene down there. There's about 30 kobolds rushing you from both sides. They're like this little army of 2-foot-tall creatures with these javelins, kind of dog-faced with this leathery, scaly skin. They're all wild-eyed and rushing, and they're just murmuring, babbling out these horrible sounds. And worse yet, you can see that they've got these weird growths growing out of their flesh. Stuff like they're mutating or something. They're all covered in this weird kind of moss, this green gunk. It looks horrible, horrifying as they come towards you. Now back up north, meanwhile, Agrias and Rainmar.
Yes, sir.
You guys are together. You've done played for the night. Agrias, what were you going to do when you were done with Lily and or when you were done with Herrick?
I was going to find Rainmar.
Rainmar just got done playing in front of the elf. The elf has her sword laying on her lap in front of her. She was just, you hear her finishing telling a story about how the construction of the abbey was done, how the abbey was built that you guys studied at. She looks over at you. She goes, "Oh, Agrias, it's good to see you again. I was just regaling Rainmar with stories of our order."
Ah, did you take notes?
He took copious notes. She notes, looks over at his book. I suppose now that my oath has been I've turned my back on my oath, that telling these stories is of no consequence. She shrugs a little.
There's a consequence for everything.
Yes, she says, the Black Orchid will, I'm sure, as I told Agrias, my fate is his now. I'm sure they'll come to kill me as well. But before that happens, she looks over at Agrias, we have the chance to become mighty, both of us. And we may have something that they don't expect.
You mean me?
I mean you. She nods.
And I just give her, that kind of wink that says, we're on the same page.
Right, right. Agrias, have you done some thinking about what we will do for our friends to the south?
Yeah, what can you tell me about the how they left you with Tobias and Sonny? What were their...
They gave us instructions to come and gather you as soon as we could and bring you southward. You must understand something. Your friend, Herrick, I did not know who he was when we first came here. My trust in him was minimal. He's a very brusque man. I didn't know if we could. I suppose I've been with the Order so long that keeping secrets is part of my blood. 2 of your friends have fallen, she says. The men named Einar and Merrick. I believe that they were killed by the mage who threw the fire from the skies towards our boat.
They both died?
She kind of pauses and she nods. We found Merrick's axe washed up on the shore. I don't think he would have left it if he could have.
Dude, what in the hell is going on? All right.
She sighs. She says, so they're there by themselves. This is why it was so important to me to relay you this information as soon as possible.
I go ahead and start playing a lament to them, to the fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Where's this axe?
In Dwarvish.
She says, I believe that Arion has it.
Okay.
Oh, I don't speak Dwarvish.
No, you don't.
How inconvenient. What would be the next best appropriate language for a fallen dwarf?
Probably your native tongue, Ancient Elven.
Okay. And Einar was...
You know a lot of elegies in Ancient Elven, so it makes sense.
Was it... Einar was Sul?
Einar was Sul.
Can I makeshift a... I don't speak Sulawese, but can I makeshift that from common? I know probably no common well.
Yeah, you could. You know a couple laments to fall into the from the old Sul Empire that are done in common back when laments for when it was destroyed by the rain of colorless fire.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that for the 2 of them.
Okay.
It'll be like a half Elvish, half Sulawese.
Roll me a 20. Agrias, you're listening to this, and she looks at you. She says, so now you understand my desire towards answers. I didn't wish to push you, but this is why I felt it was so important. What'd you roll? A 1, Reamer?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Agrias.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words.
You see Lily starting to walk up towards the fire. Sunny, by the way, is awake. She's staring daggers at you, laying there tied up next to the fire.
I blow her a kiss. Wow, okay.
Lily's got Tobias in her arms.
Okay. I look at Melina and go, so 4 people have died at the hands of a wandering gnome. Okay. 4 people. Okay.
It will be 6 soon if we do not move with swiftness, I believe.
Yeah, we should probably save Arion just to let it be 5.
If I may interject,
you may not.
You're not there.
you put David in charge of this mission, so these 2 are on him.
You put Eric. No, yeah, you did put David on this mission. Okay.
I did, yeah.
Okay, so what's it gonna be?
He wasn't in the. Brixton wasn't in that particular game when it happened.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. So, Agrias, what are you going to tell Melina?
I'm going to tell Melina we're going to get rested. We're going to get prepped for the journey south to find them. And we're going to have...
We could be there very swiftly. Much more quickly than our process down there if you wished it to be so. She looks over at the boat.
Let's do that. Okay, how many can your boat fit?
It's not my boat, she says.
Oh, the captain's boat, right.
She says, She says, "You may wish to ask the." She pauses for a second. She goes. She looks at his green outfit. She goes, "You may wish to ask the Green Jasmine what he thinks."
How many people can fit on your captain's boat, Ringmar?
Probably all of us.
Easily.
I mean, probably the whole camp. I mean, it's a big boat.
It is.
Okay.
It's a sailing ship.
Okay, let's get the other two monks.
Sunny
Sunny.
just kind of starts to say something behind her gag. Lily sits there with you. She goes, "Am I coming?
Lily, of course you're coming with me. You're my disciple.
Is my sister coming?" She looks down at her.
I look at Melina and go, "Can you bring Sunny over to me, please?"
She scoops her up in one arm, puts her over her shoulder, brings her over, sits her up next to you on the log.
I take the gag out of her mouth.
She's panting a little bit. Looks at you. "Are you done yet?"
You see, I was going to have a very relaxed conversation with you, but you're already running your mouth.
How can I have a relaxed conversation with you? You just stuffed a gag in my mouth and left me over there by the fire for hours.
I put the gag back in her mouth. And I say, "Okay, look, you're coming with us, but I want you to stick to Melina like glue."
Melina looks over at her. She looks at you, looks at Melina, and just nods.
Okay. I pull the gag out of her mouth again.
She nods.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. See how easy this is? This is what we call communicating. It's like a game of catch. I say something, you respond, and then you say something, and then I respond.
Every time I try and say something, you stuff the gag in my mouth.
Communicate politely from now on.
I'm sorry. Listen, Brixton's in trouble and we need to go as fast as we can. I don't think we should camp. I think we should sleep on the boat. As
she's talking, I'm untying the rope around her.
Uh-huh. I just think that we should sleep on the boat. We can get there. We could get there by daybreak tomorrow.
Well, then we should probably get on the boat.
She nods. Do you want me to get? Who do you want me to get?
I want you to get the other two monks from Ringmar's group.
You want me to get Naramina too?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And have your sister go with you.
Lily nods. I'll bring Tobias too.
Okay.
What about me, boss? Herrick comes over. He's got Darian with him.
Herrick, you're in charge of the fort.
Garrison duty again. All right.
And
listen,
then
Agrias, if it's all right, as much as I wish that I could go with you, I think it's important for me to stay. I have some ideas about fortifying your most vulnerable position, which is the tunnels below.
I want you to work together with Herrick on all the defenses.
Yes, he's made that clear to me that we'll be working together.
Good. Okay, at ease, gentlemen, as you were.
Nods. Raymar, you're there with them. The captain is coming out of her boat, and she's coming towards you.
Okay.
Elin is with her.
Really?
Elin is red in the face right now. She looks like she's just had a knockdown drag out with her. I heard that my name was being called, the captain says. Word travels fast in a small camp.
Not by me.
No, not of course. Am I going to? Elin says.
Yes.
Good. The captain says, I can have the boat ready in 10 minutes.
That would be appreciated.
She looks over at Rainmar. Go ahead and meet me there in 10. Oh, by the way, she takes a little handkerchief out and she dabs something on your neck. I seem to have left a mark. She looks over at Lynn and turns around and walks away.
Oh That's cold.
Cold-blooded.
You marked your territory.
She did mark her territory. That was some cold shit right there.
Foul. That's foul.
Okay, so you guys are going to get on the boat and go south. Meanwhile, Brixton and Arion, you're in the hallway. There's kobolds descending on you from both directions.
These are live kobolds, not undead
These
ones.
are live kobolds.
They're acting different from normal, or
Make me a 20, please.
usually they're fairly
Make me a 20, please.
18.
It is not like kobolds to mount a charge.
Right.
Okay, they're usually a little bit more sly than this. They're going to try and trap the hell out of you and fight from an advantage. It tells you they're being spurred on by something. Brixton, what are you going to do?
If I cast Enlarge on a vial of white pitch, is it going to blow up bigger?
No, but it will blow up. Actually, you know what? I take that back. It would blow up bigger because it's a mundane object. It's not magical. Yes, it would blow up bigger.
I tell David we should run down the hallway, and you should shoot this really big vial. Because they're all coming on us. Might as well drop the vial, enlarge it, and then try to get to safety.
Which hallway do we want to run down from?
Towards the Badgers. We're being swarmed from all three sides. Right. That's the way we came.
If we do it right in the middle of that door, we could actually blow the door out.
Yeah,
and take whatever's sneaking on us.
Brixton, are you going to do that?
Good idea.
We're going to do that.
Brixton lays it down there. You see him pushes.
Can I do like 2 or 3?
2 or 3 what? Oh, yeah, your vial's a white pitch. Now it works on one thing, but you can leave 2 or 3 white pitches there.
Sure.
You're only going to enlarge one of them, though.
Okay.
But it's gonna engulf.
Leaves his hands over the top of it. David, what you see is this small vial about the size of a can of Pepsi enlarges suddenly to about the size of a keg of beer.
As he's doing it, I shouldn't have a problem hitting that one.
No, but they're going to be able to attack Brixton a couple times as he's doing that. A flight of javelins comes down the hallway at you.
Oh,
there's a miss. There's a miss. One hits you dead in the chest, but your leather armor blunts it. And from the other side, one whistles over your head, David. One hits the bottom of your boot. Doesn't quite do enough to do damage, though. And one actually hits the side of you, but it hits where you're holding your sword. It just kind of falls to the ground. These things are getting closer and closer. How far are you guys going to fall back before you shoot this white pitch?
This thing is going to go off pretty good.
It might collapse the tunnel.
Yeah, but I would say run back as far as we can, and as soon as
the problem is, depending on how far you fall back, you may miss the target. How good do you feel like your shot is?
I mean, as far as I can, they're lit up. 2 of them are, so I got light to see by.
Yes, you do.
Give
me a distance. How far are you falling back?
I want to see. I want to say probably 50, 60 feet.
Make me a 20-sider.
I'm going to run further behind him.
Yeah. I don't want him in front of me when I'm shooting.
Right. Arion, go ahead and roll me a 20.
18.
You're not sure that's far enough to go to get out of the blast range, but you do know something. You feel like you could fall back almost twice as far and still have a good chance if you cast leveling the bow.
I'll do that.
Okay. You see, Brixton, you see Arion think about it for a second, then he turns around, starts heading down the hallway. He grabs his holy symbol of Alona around his neck. He starts whispering a prayer, you see. It's almost like moonlight starts to twinkle up and down his bow and along the length of his holding arm. The bow shaft itself, or the bowstring, almost like becomes a string of light for a moment, of green light. Ariane, you turn back down the hallway. You're about 200 feet down the hallway, where you feel about is the furthest range you could be, and then you let fly. Roll me a 20.
16.
Brixton, you see the arrow disappear down the hallway. Wait, wait, wait. And then you are absolutely knocked to the ground, thrown back about 20 feet, rolling into the door, and then into the Badger hallway. Ariane, this deafening blast appears to you. You feel heat rushing all over your flesh. The force hits you like a hammer right to the chest, knocks you back to the ground, skitters you across the ground. You don't even hear screams down the hallway. All you see is this huge blinding white flash. Brixton, you feel something grab you by the back, and it starts to drag you down the hallway. There's like 2 or 3 things are grabbing
you. Do I know what? Do they feel like hands? Do they feel like mouths?
They feel like mouths.
I assume the badgers.
Yes, they're the 3 badgers are trying to drag you back into the hallway. David, you're bigger than him, so you're just on the ground, kind of stunned. Looking down there, the whole hallway is afire. And what Brixton said is quite true. You feel like maybe the solidity of this hallway might be compromised. What are you going to do?
I'm going to retreat.
Okay, you retreat back into the Badger Den.
Yes.
Are you going to close the door?
I'm going to crack just, well, wait a second. I wonder if this thing is going into the river. I think it'd be a good idea to spike it.
You spike it. Matthew, you're kind of coming to a little bit in there. The Badgers are sitting there. They drug you into the corner. You're right there by the deer carcass. Your ears are ringing, both of you, but you feel like you've managed to clear that hallway.
Or more.
Right now, I think this is a good place for us to stop for the evening. Brixton and Ariane, you have a moment of safety there in the hallway, or I should say in the Badger Den. Rainmar and Agrias, you're with the cavalry right now on the boat, heading southward towards the mouth of the river.
Do they see a pool of white? Do they see a mushroom cloud come up from the south somewhere?
They might well. They might well at this point. To recap a little bit, Agrias, you've learned much about your order. You have learned a great deal about Melina and your trainer. You've learned a little bit now more about who you can trust and who you can't, and how it was that you got the hit put out on you. You're not really sure who to believe is the problem. There's a lot of conflicting information, a lot of he said, she said. But one thing that is certain is that you're pretty sure you have an ally in Melina.
Okay.
When we come back next for you, you will have a revised character sheet with some new tricks on it for the stance that you chose. Going to Rainmar. Rainmar, you made 3 different checks on your music playing, and they were all passes, so you've improved there. You've gained a lot of lore for your book. You too have learned a lot about the order. You may actually be more versed in its history than Agrias is actually at this point. You know a little bit more about its political structure than he does, and how it functions maybe at its upper echelons, which may prove to be very important in the future.
To him.
Your relationship with the captain has improved. You have also made friends with Darian, who respected your show of strength outside of the camp. David and Brixton, you've learned a little bit more about your familiar, Brixton. David, your relationship with Badgers was improved. You were attacked by all those kobolds, and you've realized that the way down slants down, so it's much like the other passage that you found going into there. You also found that it is infested with kobolds, at least. However...
Was.
Yes.
Or more.
Or more. because they were being driven on by something clearly. However, you know that you were on the right track going down this because you smelled the seawater. You also know that the area has peace for the moment because of the big boom that you and Brixton made. The two of you, when I see you next, will have revised character sheets with some information on there about what you do and do not have as far as equipment left. But more importantly than that, some revised stuff about your capabilities.
Cool.
That is where I'm going to leave you guys for right now. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of The First Betrayal. This was great, everybody. It was great having the whole group back again. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Next time when we see each other, you guys will probably be in mass at one point. So
Right.
the party being split will come to an end. You guys will all be acting in unison. I think it'll be really cool. You'll probably get a little bit more done that way. But now that you have improved capabilities, you're a little bit more well-suited to deal with the kind of threats you're going to be seeing.
Sure.
For everybody that tuned in with us tonight, thanks so much for tuning in for First Betrayal. We'll see you in 2 more weeks. Everybody stay happy and healthy out there. I will be uploading this episode to YouTube for those of you that missed part of it. So just go to www.youtube/ and look for Castle Entertainment, and you guys will be able to catch all of our different episodes of First Betrayal. Stick around, guys, so we can say our goodbyes. But until then, I'm Carlos Aslicing, and on behalf of my players, I'd like to say good night, and thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.